an easy question. It's from 2012, and the task is to give an annotated box proof of this proposition. So an annotated box proof, since it's an implication, the first step would be like this. So instead of showing this, we want to show that from this assumption we can derive. This, okay? Now to justify this line, I could already annotate it here, we say it's an assumption, but to justify this line, this boils down to show that we from A and C can derive B and A. Now the remaining part is pretty straightforward, but we need somehow to use this. The main difficulty in this problem is somehow to use the first line. So we have an AND here, so we can do an AND elimination and get C. This is an assumption, and this one we can do by AND elimination. I'm not writing down the line numbers yet, but from this line we can do an AND elimination and get our C. And now we can combine the C with this piece of information we have up here and get A and B. Now we're almost done. We have A and B. Our target is to prove B and A. So we can get an A here, and we can get it from this line. This one was, by the way, this one. How did we get that one? We got from this one. We can get A, and we can also get B, and then we can build this up. So if we want to annotate the proof, let me put line numbers now. So this one was from line 3 and line 1 by an implication elimination. So from line 3 and line 1. Now this one was from an AND elimination from line 4. This one we did an AND elimination also from line 4, but we kept the other part in B. And here we did an AND introduction. We first picked the B from line 6, and then we picked the A from line 5. And then this line we can justify by, this is an implication introduction, where we happening from line 2 to line 7. And finally, the last formula can be justified by an implication introduction. Well, the first step is the same in all the methods, because we have an implication, so we basically can reduce the problem to show that from A or F we can get not E implies F. But at this stage we have a natural choice. Probably since you have an implication down here, I suppose one way of handling the question here is simply to do an implication introduction at this stage. It means we do not E and we do F. At this stage, let's see what we can justify. This one is an assumption, so that doesn't need to be justified. This one is an assumption. This one we can follow from this line and this line by an implication introduction. I'll put line numbers later, and this final line follows also by an implication introduction happening in this box. So it's really the F we have to justify. Now we have an OR up here, that's a problem, so we cannot, just because we know E or F, doesn't mean we know F. Let's just think about it for a moment in a sort of a logical fashion. So we know that either E or F is valid. We also have assumed we have not E. So actually by combining these two, it should be clear that we get F. So in some sense, it's kind of obvious from a logical point of view that if we have these two statements, we should be able to derive F. The only problem is that we are now working in a formal system, so we somehow have to find a way to get to the F by following the formal rules. So, of course, we could have a sort of deluxe version of our proof system where we had some extra handy rules that could be very convenient. Then we could immediately from these two derive this one, but we don't have that, so we have to stick to the rules on the formula sheet, or the rules that are given in this course. So what can we do? What to do? And there is the obvious answer is that we have to somehow extract information from the first line. We know E and or F. And the good news is when you have an E or F, there is an automatic thing to do, that is to split it into two cases. One case where we assume E and one where we assume F. I will do that inside this box. It doesn't matter, but the point is that since we know E or F, we are allowed to split into, we can split into two cases. One case where we assume E and one where we assume F. And our target is to prove the F down here. Remember, this is the line we have not justified. We want to prove the line with the F here. So this is our target. Now this one is an assumption. This one is an assumption. This one can of course be justified because we can just pick it from whatever line it is. We can pick it from our right line here, pick it from this line. Actually, you will see in a little while I will do it in Jabe also, and Jabe actually just collapse this into just F. But so there's some freedom here, we can save a line in some sense, but I think it's a bit logical to say that from assumption F we want to derive F. But this is sort of a minor point, so I put F here one more time, just to keep the sort of format up, but sometimes you could just put the F here. Now, so the only line we cannot justify at the moment is this line where we have the F. However, you see, we have assumed not E and we also have assumed E. So for these two, we can get a contradiction. You can say we're using a kind of contradiction rule, where you show we have a statement, but also the negation of the statement, we get a contradiction. In the notation of Jabe, it's simply the not elimination rule. But you're allowed to, it's completely acceptable, you write contradiction rule or something in your annotation instead if you want. But on the formula sheet for these questions, it would be referred to as a not elimination rule. And now here at this stage I'm using it's called the constructive contradiction rule. This is a rule that tells us that from false we can derive anything. Now we haven't talked that much about that in class because that rule is not really needed, and I will show you in a little while when I do it on Jabe how we can modify that rule very easily. If you don't like the constructive contradiction rule, I mean, if you don't want to use it, you can use the classical contradiction rule instead, and slight change get a valid proof. Anyway, this is the proof. We can now justify every single line, and I'll just complete the annotation. So students who can do this kind of things without mistakes, they would normally get a first in this course, I would say. I mean, of course, it's no guarantee because there are many other topics in the course, but because the box proof is about 40% of the course, I'm just telling you sort of as a guideline that if you can do these things correctly, you are definitely from my experience is that people who can do these things correctly, proofs like this, it will do well. However, I have to say that correctly is really correctly, because often there are students who often kind of mimic the proof, and it's kind of correct, but there will often be a few serious mistakes in the proof, and that really changes it from being something that get almost full mark to something that lose quite a lot of marks, because the whole point of box proof is of course that the proof, each step is correct somehow. It's okay there is some minor mistakes in the annotation maybe, or there are certain types of mistakes that might be kind of acceptable, especially if it's sound. You can see that there'll be some, but in general, if you just sort of invent unsound rules it definitely it's a very steep curve down from full marks to very few marks. So anyway, so this question here, you can now annotate it. This is not elimination. What was the line? This was from line 2 and 3, and this one was from line 6, and the introduction happened from line 2 to line 8, and 1 to 9. Okay. Now let me do the same thing in JAPE, and I will do it in a few different ways. So first I will go over the same proof I just did by hand. Let me see. So this was this step, and then we saw we have an implication here, so we do another implication introduction. So far so good, and then we said, okay, we need somehow to use the OR, so we do an OR elimination. So this we split into two cases. We had E or F. We had two boxes, one where we do F, and one where we do E, and one where we do F, and the target is F in this box. When I did it by hand, I had the F as an assumption here, and then I put a F as a target inside the box. JAPE doesn't even do that, it just collapses it into F for the assumption, so you can do that as well when you annotate your proof. Anyway, so the only line we have not justified is line 4, we need to get to F. But the point here is that if you look at what we have assumed E, we also have we have E and not E, so these two together obviously give a contradiction. And now we can use a classical contradiction because, the constructive contradiction rule, because from false we can conclude everything. So if I do it backwards and do constructive contradiction, we get this proof. That was the same proof essentially, except for that one extra line I got when I did it by hand. But we suppose we want to do it without the constructive contradiction rule, but just so then I will do the last step I will undo. So now we want to slightly different here. So we want to argue F, but let's do the classical contradiction instead. So the classical contradiction simply want to argue F. Okay, let's assume we have not F, and then we want to get a contradiction. But that contradiction we can just pick from here basically. So you can see now we did the same proof. It became a little bit longer than before, but we didn't use constructive contradiction. We simply just utilized the fact that we had a contradiction, so we can basically prove everything after that by assuming the negation of that, and then import the contradiction and then get what we wanted to get. So this is one proof. Let me do another proof of the same sentence that is somewhat slightly different in structure. So maybe I can just do a lot of undos. Okay, so this was the original proof. So the first step, we don't have much choice. This is. But now we could do it differently, because before what I did was that I took E, not E implies F, and I did a implication introduction back, but I could also already start with OR elimination here. And I get this. And then I could go down here. Now we see, okay, from F I need to show not E implies F. It should be obvious, but I mean basically we have an implication here, so we do the not introduction here. That was that part, and the same here, I can do a not introduction. Now we're almost done. From E and not E, we get a contradiction, obviously. And then we can use a constructive contradiction if we want here. Backwards constructive contradiction rule. So that is one proof. This is 12 lines. I mean, this is different proof from before. You can see it's structured somewhat different because but it's essentially the same. At some stage we need to use a constructive contradiction rule. If you want to avoid that, let's do that. Just to show. So now we have an undo. So now instead of that, I could argue for F. I have to justify F. I can do it by classical contradiction. I can say, okay, we want to show F. Let's assume not F, and then from that derive a contradiction. But since we already have a contradiction, we just import that into this place. So we can see if we assume not F, we got a contradiction, and from that we conclude F. So this whole proof is now valid. So this case is 14 lines. So I gave a number of different proofs of the same sentence here. This one in the paper I uploaded, there are some papers that circulated where there was a typo in the mistake, but in the exam paper, this is a correct version of the paper. It's also meant to be a challenging question. It's not that challenging, I think, but let's see. It's definitely no, I think it's actually quite challenging. Let's see. So we have to. The first step is that we reduce it to justify this to get to this is our target. A implies C, and our assumption is this one. Let's see how much of it is automatic. The next step is kind of automatic. We want to justify A implies C, so we can do one way to do that is to do A here and go to C here. So this is an assumption. This is an assumption. This was an implication introduction. We get from by deriving C from A, and this one was also an implication introduction from getting here to here. So we have to justify the C. Now this is not so clear how we can do that, but let's see how we can make progress. We have an AND up here, so it's natural to break it down. Now if you notice, I put the box up to the top. There are other ways you could have arranged it. You could have put the box slightly lower and have broken down this one on top of here. So there's some other box proof you could have done. But it's not like it's unique, but certainly by an AND elimination from the first line we get this one, and we can also get that one from AND elimination. I can already put this. Some of the lines are clear. This one would be line 1, this would be line 2. We cannot change that. So this is AND elimination from line 1, AND elimination from line 1. Now let's call this 3, this 4. Now we have A, and we have A implies B. So that's kind of clear that from these two we can get B. This is actually an implication elimination, line 2 and line 3. But we can also get not B, simply by using line 2 and line 4, because we have A and we have A implies not B, so that is from implication elimination line 2 and line 4. Now we have B and not B. That's a clear contradiction. That is not elimination, line 5 and 6. And from the contradiction we can get anything. This is a constructive contradiction rule. But as I said, you can also do with a classical contradiction at this stage. But that's something I will explain that when I go over the Jape proof later. I will do the same propositions here, but I will also do them in Jape, and then I will vary the proofs a bit. Line 9 was we have here. This was an introduction, and that happened from the box starting at 2, finishing at 8. Finally, line 10 happens in the implication introduction, starting in line 1, finishing in line 9. Notice I put a little hyphen here. If you're very pedantic, that's because it's something happening. This introduction happens in the box starting at line 1 and finishing in line 9. While, for example, this implication elimination happens in line 2 and line 4. That's why I put a comma here. This is a very minor pedantic point. But anyway, so now we have a fully annotated proof of the natural parts, and because of the space I have here, it's a bit difficult for me to get enough space to write out the full proof. So I'll do the first part of the proof by hand, and the second part I will complete by Jape. So the first step is completely natural. We have an implication, something implies something here, so we reduce that to the problem of showing that we from this assumption can derive this conclusion. Now, this is a negation of something, statement, and a natural way to justify negations is by not introductions. So what we will do is that we simply draw a box on top of this, start off with assuming the thing without the not, and then we want to show we can get a contradiction from that. That would be exactly what is required to justify this line here, that we have a not negation of this thing. So this one is an assumption, but now we have to somehow to get a contradiction. And if you look up, how could we get a contradiction? Well, probably at some stage good to use the first line. We need to use the first line of the proof. So we can use some kind of wishful thinking and say, if we, for example, here could derive this formula, then by combining that one with the negation of the same thing, we will get a contradiction. So this would be a natural step to take. And actually, if you look back, you can see that this thing definitely is the same as this. This is basically A or B or C, and A or B or C. And if we had some more powerful rules for our system to deduce, we should actually, in some sense, be able to go from here to here in one go, and just say, this one, and then we have a rule that allows us to conclude this. But here we have a technical problem, because if you look at the actual rules we have for the box proof, we cannot just go from here to here in one step. We actually need to stay within the OR game. So actually quite a number of extra lines we need to go from here to here. But what we are really doing is that we are basically deriving from this thing, we are deriving this thing within the OR rule. So I'll do that on Jade now. So you can, there's not really space enough for me to write the details here. But I recommend you do it by hand also yourself, so you can get a feel for how it works. So now I'll go through the same steps I already did by hand. Should be easy. The not introduction, straightforward. So we have this, and here what we did was that we undo. Let me go back here. That was wrong. What I wanted to do was I want to go back here and do a not intro. And now we want to take this line and do a not elimination. Like this. So this was how far we got in the proof I wrote by hand. So we have to basically we need to justify this line. We have to go from here to here. And you can clearly see that we should be able to do it somehow, because clearly this one implies this one. I mean, if we know this, we certainly also know this. It's just a matter of doing it within the rules of what is available to us. And the key thing here is that when we have an OR we want to use, like here, we always split the OR into different cases. So we go do an OR elimination, and you see, so now we split it into two cases. We basically, this is what our starting point, but we split it into a case where we assume A or B, and then we go for the target, and the other case is where we have C and go for the target. Now this one we should be able to do more or less immediately, because we have C and we want to go for this. So if we just how can we do that? Let's go backwards and do this, okay, and this one we can go backwards and do introduction, preserving right. So this one you can clearly see how we from C can get B or C, and from B or C we get this. So this is so far so good. So now we have to justify this, and this is kind of clear. Again, you can see if you know A or B, we definitely, well, we know A or B or C, but because of the bracket we again need to somehow use the specific rules we have. We don't have a rule that just allows us to go from here to here in one go, but we just do an OR elimination and split it again into two cases. So now we have two cases. One case where we have A and are going for this target, and the other case where we have B and go for this target, the same target. But this one is easy. We go backwards, do introduction, preserving left. And this one is a bit more tricky, but we go backwards, preserving right. Now we have this one, B or C, but then we can go backwards, preserving left. And now we have a complete proof where every step has been justified. But I urge for you to try to do it yourself by hand. It's a bit difficult to follow here how it goes by in Jape, but you can see there's 16 lines. It would be a bit difficult for me to, the software don't really allow me to write properly, to do it properly by hand. So the question from the exam 2012, so this is definitely a challenge question. We get a hint, we have to use a classical introduction rule, the classical contradiction rule, and I'll actually explain why in some sense you can see that also without the hint. Okay, so we start off assuming not A and B, and the target is to show A or not B. And actually here one could, even without the hint, one would be clear one need to use a classical contradiction rule, because in order to argue for an OR, if we don't use a classical contradiction rule, we would either have to be able to prove not A, or we would have to be able to prove not B. And none of those are actually follow logically from the assumption. It's maybe not so clear to see, but I'm just explaining that it is possible to argue that way. This is because what's called the logic without the classical contradiction rule is like called constructive logic or intuitionistic logic, and that kind of logic has a disjunction property. That means that if you prove A or B, there's either a proof of A or there is a proof of B. But that's a footnote, you're not required to know that for the course, so just forget about that. But anyway, here we have, you can either prove A or B. So here we are using the classical contradiction rule. I mean, there are other proofs, by the way, so it's not the only proof, but what I'm developing here is a quite natural proof. So the classical contradiction rule works by, we assume the negation of what we intend to prove, and then we want to show this given contradiction. Now, this is a very tricky step now, because the question is, how did we get that contradiction? And here is I have actually talked about this heuristics before in class, and we have discussed it before, but this is something that works sometimes for, it's actually a very good principle for challenge questions. There are two ways we can get the contradiction here. We can either get something contradicting this line or contradicting this line. These are certainly two natural ways to get a contradiction. Now, you can see if we actually get something that contradicts this line, then we get A or not B here. Now at first it might look like this is a bit strange to choose that, because if you're going for trying to prove A or not B, this was exactly the same task we had here. But the key thing to observe is that now we have improved the situation compared to earlier, because now we have to prove A or not B, but we have some extra assumption to work with here. We have these two assumptions already, so we have an extra assumption to work with. So let's go for this. We're trying to prove A or not B. We have not lost anything. It might be we don't really make progress this way, but we certainly, let's try now to show this. And now it made sense to try to go for, let's say, we want to prove not A. Actually, if you look carefully, you can see there's symmetry in some sense between A and B in this. So I could actually have written not B here also. But I'm doing a not A. And not A, the automatic thing to do to argue for not A, or to justify not A, is to assume A and get a contradiction here. Now we're applying the same principle again. The question is, what should I put here in order to get a contradiction, to justify that? Well, this is an assumption. All this line in some sense be justified. If I could justify this contradiction, I would have justified this by a not introduction from here to here. This one could be justified by a not introduction, simply by, if we know not A, we certainly also know not A or not B, and this one was this line can be justified by a not contradiction, or by contradiction from this line and this line. It's actually a not elimination from this line and this line, and this one was the classical contradiction, contradiction rule, and this the final line was a implication introduction. But this one we are now trying to justify. We can get a contradiction here. And here's the thing again, I mean, if we could, it does sort of look like we are moving in circles, but if we could prove not A or not B at this stage, then you can see that if you, this would contradict this line. So this would be good enough, but the reason we are happy to do that, and maybe you could have tried also to get something that prove A or B, A and B, but to prove A and B is in some sense looks pretty hard, because then we have to prove B here, A, and so that doesn't look promising. But anyway, we can see that A or not A or not B, that's good to have here, because this is the same target we had before, but now we have something extra to work with. So this one is quite promising. And now, okay, here, this is probably one of the things, if you try not B here, that will complete the proof. Why is that? That's because not B, the natural thing to do is to assume B, and then get a contradiction here. But how can we get a contradiction? Well, we are almost there, because we have A, we have B, that means we have A and B. And lo and behold, if you have A and B and look at the first line, that's a direct contradiction, these two. So that we can justify this one. So this one was an assumption. Let's put line numbers now. For, let me see, we have line 5 here, the bottom of this box, line 6. Below is line 7, I think, get it right, line 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, 8, and line 9, line 10, line 11, line 12, line 13, line 14. I think this is correct. Let me see. So this one was an assumption, that was a B. This one was an AND intro from line 3 and 4. The next one was a not elimination, a contradiction we got from line 5 and line 1. The next one was a not introduction from line 4 to line 6. And this one was an OR introduction from line 6, from line 7. This one was a not introduction from line 3 to 8. I think, not introduction, yeah, not introduction from line, not introduction from line 8 and line 2 and line 8. And this one was a, not elimination, was it? Elimination, that was that one. Then we had a not introduction, intro here. This one is not introduction, that is from line 3 to line 8. An OR introduction, that was from line 9. And finally we have a not elimination here from line 11 and line 2. And classical contradiction from line 12, and finally an introduction from line 1 to 13. It's a bit messy here, so I will immediately do a Jade proof. Let's see if we get even 14 lines. I managed to mess it up, but I think we will get the same proof essentially. Now let me do it in Jade. So far so good. Then and here that's when we use the classical contradiction rule. And then we said, okay, we have a contradiction here. How do we get that contradiction? So the key was to take this one and do a not elimination. And then we took the OR introduction, preserving the left. And here we went, we have to justify now not A, but not A is just a not introduction. It's easy to justify. And here we took this one and did a not elimination. And then we can take this one and go backwards and do a not intro, an OR intro, preserving the right. Okay, and we go backwards. Do a not intro. So far so good. And then we have this one this one and this one, and we do an AND intro. Okay, let's do it in a different way then. Let's do this one, and then do a not elimination. Now we're almost there. Now this one can be justified by AND intro. Here's a proof. Let's see if we got 14 lines as we did before. Yes, we did. So, and here we should get exactly the same annotations as I did when I did it by hand.